Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Lexa Peterson, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is Air Commodore Amanda Dines. This evening we are honoured to acknowledge the delegation representing the Royal Australian Air Force Health Reserves. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. Students, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depth of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Bruce Edmund Tinlin. Bruce Tinlin was born on the 18th of December 1915 in Wilbarra, South Australia. He was one of 6 children born to local farmer William Tinlin and his wife Jane. Bruce grew up around the small farming community of Lock on the Eyre Peninsula, where he was a member of the local rifle club. He later moved to the border of Victoria and South Australia and settled in the town of Narracourt, where he found employment as a labourer. Bruce was a popular member of the local rifle club and was renowned as a crack shot. Bruce Tinlin enlisted in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force on the 10th of June 1940. He was assigned to the 2nd 43rd Battalion and began a short period of training in Australia. Before leaving for the front, Private Tinlin was allocated 2 weeks' leave, which he spent in his hometown alongside family and friends. He was farewelled in the local hall before travelling to Melbourne, where he embarked for active service on the 29th of December 1940. Private Tinlin arrived in Egypt in early February of 1941, disembarking at Port Tawfik before travelling by train to Palestine. Tinlin joined other recruits at the Australian base to complete his training. By this time, the British advance in the Western Desert had reached El Geila. In March, Tinlin's division was sent to Libya to garrison in the area east of the port of the city of Tobruk. Owing to a lack of transport, Tinlin and his comrades in the 24th Brigade were left behind in Tobruk. By April 1941, the situation had deteriorated. Rommel's Afrika Korps, leading the Axis forces, began pushing the Allies back from their position at Al Geila. The enemy's advance eventually stopped at Tobruk, where 14,000 Allied troops were besieged. Over the months that followed, the Allies strengthened their defences around the city, repulsing regular attacks. Private Tinlin and his comrades regularly assisted with defensive duties around the first and the second lines of defence, as well as in no man's land. On the 3rd of August 1941, Tinlin's unit mounted a routine attack on enemy positions, coming under heavy fire from aircraft, infantry and artillery. Tinlin was advancing alongside his comrades when he was hit by an enemy mortar which burst and killed him instantly. Tinlin was later buried in the Tobruk cemetery, where he lies today beneath the inscription chosen by his family. It reads, "At sunset and in the morning, we will remember them." Private Bruce Tinlin was 25 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left amongst almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Bruce Edmund Tinlin, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over, but in Australia they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.